In the year 2505,
We got this guy. He's gonna fix everything. So you smart, huh?
the ordinary will be considered extraordinary.
I thought your head would be bigger.
Idiocracy.
For the smartest guy in the world, you're pretty dumb sometimes.
Hello and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. Today we're talking about two very intelligent movies, and I'm speaking about them with my good friend, the owner of Ravenswood Media, David McGowan. Thank you so much for coming on again, Dave.
Thank you, Mike, for having me.
Yeah.
I think your career as a critic is off and running.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We were talking about movies about sort of America left in disarray. And with those movies, I think you brought up the idea of the film Idiocracy, which is a movie I haven't seen in a very ever actually. I don't know. I don't know why I was gonna say a very long time. You know why I was saying a very long time? Because I'd always run into it on Comedy Central. The movie came out, I believe, in 2005, and it ended up kind of becoming this inadvertent internet meme where, people would have the poster for Idiocracy, and it says, "This was supposed to be a movie, not a documentary." And unfortunately, that movie has become painfully relevant. And before we even get into sort of the relevancy of Idiocracy, and we're also going to talk about Team America after this. I wanted to get sort of what are your thoughts? Because I never thought in a million years Idiocracy would be the type of film you'd see. Like
That
you're a
I
class
personally would
guy.
see?
Yeah.
Huh. That's funny. No, I've got a sense of humor.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. It's just that it's a very lowbrow sort of humor film,
I grew
and
up with Three Stooges, man.
yeah, but okay, that's true. It is. I mean, Three Stooges is lowbrow, but it still kind of has that old school feel to it, where there is a certain level of class to it. But what were your thoughts on Idiocracy when you saw it, and why did you feel like bringing up that film?
Oh, well, the premise was using natural selection because what was it that stupid people would forget to use condoms and the smart people use them too much, and we would slowly devolve into a nation of the stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And the president in Idiocracy, that black guy, what's that?
Oh God, that was Terry Crews.
Yeah, he nailed it. And this sort of rah-rah flag stuff,
Yes.
reminds me of. Well, here's the thing: is that character in Idiocracy who plays the president? Yeah, he's stupid, but he seems to have his heart in the right place.
Yeah.
As opposed to our current situation where we have a stupid plus vicious president.
Yeah.
So the movie was funny. It was kind of almost sweet in a way. The reality of us today is not. It's definitely scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny when you bring that up because when I saw Idiocracy for the first time ever yesterday. By the way, Terry Crews' character was President Camacho. Yes, and I think his full name was President Mountain Dew Camacho or something like that.
Did they ever have a shot of him hugging the flag on a flagpole?
I don't think I remember that, but it would be fitting.
Yeah.
But the thing about Idiocracy, to your point, is I didn't particularly like the film, but yeah, it didn't seem to paint everyone as the racist, homophobic, bigoted.
No, they're just stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just dumb. They're just dumb people who don't know any better. Where in
Right.
reality, a lot of the dumb people in America are the people who also are the cruelest and are outwardly so. Um, and
They
I
revel
get
in it.
yeah, but the thing was with Idiocracy though is although the movie kind of played this nation of idiots sort of in a lens that made it seem like, oh, they don't know any better. They're not actual bad people. Well, I'm not sure about that because if they thought that you were smart, they'd outwardly murder you. They put you in like a roller derby sort
Oh,
of
right.
setting. Yeah, because Luke Wilson couldn't fix everything instantaneously because they were basically watering the plants with Gatorade or
Right.
Camacho, as they called it. Uh, or I could look up what the name of it was, but they actually sold that drink as a real drink uh, in the movie. Uh, what happened was because they could have because when he was watering these crops, like because all the crops on the earth have dissolved. It's sort of like what's going to happen with global warming, where all our crops are going to go away because we have a lack
We're
of
pumping carbon into the
oxygen.
atmosphere,
Yeah,
right?
we're pumping carbon monoxide into the atmosphere. We're going to have basically a huge flood because all of our ice is melting, is causing our water levels to rise. Uh, but also on top of those floods, we're going to have a humongous dry period where we won't see rain or anything else. The crops will die. So after we've been drowned, we'll slowly starve to death, and we won't have any fluid intake. So there won't be any water. So essentially, it was sort of, I think, a commentary on that. So when Luke Wilson's character, named Joe Bowers, sort of like your average Joe, uh, came up with the idea of watering the plants, it took longer than expected. Because things were instantaneously fixed, they decided, throw him into the monster truck rally and murder him. And I guess because he wasn't murdered and they saw that his plan actually did work when Maya Rudolph's Rita character brought in the plant and said, "You see, it actually works," to everyone in the crowd, everyone decided, "Oh, you know what? He is trying to help us. Let's be nice to him now." And I was like, "You know what? No, they're still murderers. They're still horrible people that outwardly abuse you. Like if when Luke Wilson tries to say anything to the police when they throw him in the cruiser, they pepper spray him just because they could,
Right.
because they understand what he was saying. He sounded too, I guess, in their terms, and this is sort of an outdated joke by today's standard. And I'm glad the vernacular has changed, but when you talked like a certain way, whether it be mindful or of intelligence, they'd say you sound faggy in the
Right.
movie. Sort of like how people like who live in the deep South would describe Bill Gates. Like, what's that faggy guy? Yeah. Sound like trying to tell me about how to save the world from coronavirus. Just stick with Microsoft, man. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
it,
was.
it kind of like the same thing we did to Al Gore.
Yep, exactly. He talks funny, so we're not going to listen to him when he talks about global warming because he's
And
just
he's fat.
just a politician. He doesn't know. Yeah, and he's fat. It's
Yeah.
like yes, but he's not a medical doctor. I have my thoughts about medical doctors who are fat, where it's like if you're a medical doctor and you're overweight, you can't tell me how to lose weight. Like you're not practicing your own message. But anyways, the thing is, Al Gore was talking about the environment, not weight loss. So there's a little bit of a difference. And yeah, they're like, oh, he's fat and he sounds funny. I don't want to listen to him. So yeah, the movie is certainly a reflection, but I don't think it went further beyond its initial concepts. Like once that I understood, okay, the world is stupid, everyone's dumb, and Luke Wilson is this man of average intelligence, who never really did anything. He was a Marine where their orders were what was it? Lead, follow, or get out of the way. He always decided to get out of the way, and of course that was MO meant to have you not yeah, that was an MO meant that was initially in place, so you would be intimidated or feel sort of unmasculated into doing your job. So unfortunately, Joe Bowers always got out of the way, but here he decided to lead in the end. But still, his character was so passive and so like, oh geez, I guess I'm gonna get killed now. I couldn't really invest in him. I couldn't really invest in anyone. And if you're supposed to play this average intelligence calm person who doesn't overreact to everything, you still need that character to have feelings or react or something. The only moment where I felt anything from him was when he wakes up in the future and he realizes that his entire family and friends are dead and he's freaking out about it. That was like, okay, there's a person there. I care about this. But then outside of that, he just kind of had this oh gee whiz kind of attitude. So at the end of the movie, when he decided to fare with the people who try to kill him, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, no, these people kind of need to be extinct in a way.
Okay, but
Yeah.
I think it's a concept film. It's, I don't think the character development is as critical because it.
No,
I mean, the title of it is Idiocracy. It's a parody, so it's that didn't bother me. But you had just brought up the one of the central problems of this dystopian future was all their crops were dying because they were pouring Gatorade on the crops. And that's funny because we all know that pouring Gatorade on crops is probably going to kill the plant. Yeah. But how much different is that than today where we are going through climate change and the climate's changing? It's not changing for the better. It's getting worse. And it's because we're pumping carbon, black smoke into the atmosphere.
Yep.
It's as ridiculous as pouring Gatorade on plants.
It is. And the thing is, I guess the difference between Idiocracy pouring Gatorade and us pouring carbon monoxide is the people who are pouring. Oh wait, never mind. There is no difference because the people who have the Gatorade company, they know that it's poisoning the environment, but they don't care because they're making money from it. Exactly. While the people are so stupid that they don't think about it. They say, well, it has electrolytes, and electrolytes are good for you, and they don't even know what the hell electrolytes are. Honestly, I don't know what electrolytes are. I mean, to be honest, it's not like, people's concept of electrolytes is probably like Trump's concept of injecting bleach into yourself and shoving a flashlight up your ass, where all of a sudden you're going to turn into a fucking superhero if you do it. Obviously that's not going to work. So yeah, there's a lot of things that mirror today that are fascinating. I guess
that's what I was trying to point out is that the character development. Yeah, you're probably right. They didn't spend a lot of time on that, but it doesn't matter because these parallels, which is how a concept movie works, is that these parallels in the parody, when you stop and think about it, they're giving you a message for our own situation right now.
Yeah. The parallels are great. The only thing is, if there was some character development, I'd care about the movie more than the initial concept, which, as you said, is a concept movie. But the problem with concept movies is, as a storyteller, you should be able to excel beyond the concept, where we can invest in the entire 90-minute length of the film. And this movie's an hour, 24 minutes. Within about 30 minutes, I'm going, okay, I get it. What else is there? And there really isn't anything. You could just kind of tell that even within the length itself, that Mike Judge was just kind of trying to find a way to just squeak out a feature length within this film. And yeah, it just at a certain point, everything felt a little redundant, and I just would have liked to have seen something a little more. Because if you look at his previous work, look at Office Space, for example, That's a concept movie where it's about how horrible working within an office setting is. But once the main character of that movie sort of has a change where he wakes up from this coma that's been given to him, where he's kind of permanently in this I don't care sort of state. And then he realizes, oh, wait, I do care about what's happening and I want to fight against the system. Like, that made it a more interesting film that invested us into something more than the concept. So I guess that's sort of where my issue with the film lies.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Although, it's like, was there a love interest too? Wasn't he falling in love with someone?
He didn't really fall in love with Maya Rudolph's character Rita, who played a prostitute. Uh, but it was just kind of like, well, I guess you're the only other person from my era that's alive, so we'll just get married, you know? And I mean, unfortunately, even a prostitute was more intelligent than the average idiot out there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, outside of our initial thoughts of the film, we can certainly, I would love to dive into how, because this is why this movie sort of established this cult following. Um, there's so many things in it that mirror today. Even when the movie came out, it was sort of ahead of its time concept wise, because I was going on the IMDb trivia before I watched the movie, and um, this movie was hardly distributed by 20th Century Fox. It was hardly advertised because of the harsh criticisms it had towards the large corporations that it was mocking, such as Gatorade and Mountain Dew and Fuddruckers and all that. And 20th Century Fox was so concerned about that, they intentionally barely marketed the movie because they didn't want to anger their corporate overlords, which is exactly what happens in this movie. The corporate overlords literally transformed the entire food chain as to how society ate. Instead of, eating your fruits and vegetables, they said, oh, no, just eat, our product. And the name of the Mountain Dew in the movie was called Brando. Brawndo. Yeah, and they actually sold it as a real drink too for a period of time, and it was successful too. Like, it actually did pretty well, and eventually they discontinued it. Actually, there's a website. I'm gonna see if it's real or not still. But yeah, it's just so weird how that movie was ahead of its time. Mike Judge came up with the concept of the film because he saw two women in a scooter in a Disneyland who were fighting over each other. Oh, I'm sorry. No, he saw two mothers with kids in strollers fighting and cursing at each other, and he thought, how horrible would it be if humanity was like this in the future? And if you think about it, this movie came out around the time the Bush administration was going on. This is, I think, within his second term, because we had the second election in 2004. This movie came out in 2005.
Yeah.
So there could have been that in the back of his head too, like, oh my God, we had 9/11 happen. This guy didn't really do anything to prevent it, and people still reelected him. I can't fucking believe we're this stupid, So I don't know. What parallels did you find fascinating with the film?
Well, I wanted to bring this up. I liked the dystopian landscape that they cut to the city view, and you'd see the skyscraper off in the distance. That was kind of like off base, and it had a giant roll of duct tape wrapped around.
Yeah.
It was rich with these little visual clues about a dystopian future. The president, I keep coming back to that guy and his embracing of masculine power, physical power, and shooting off a machine gun. Was he shooting off a machine gun?
Yes. Yeah, he was at a certain point. They made like a sort of this big victorious speech, and I think Luke Wilson did, and he like shot off his gun in the middle of the air, while flexing his muscles.
Right, and the muscle thing, and also didn't he wear the flag somehow?
Yes, that was on his jacket. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
basically his suit.
I mean, we just described Trump, or
Yes.
what Trump wishes. I mean, Trump tries to pretend he's physically fit, but he's not. But he makes that a big part of his shtick, you know, that he's alpha male, and that
Yeah.
he kisses the flag while it's on the flagpole.
Yeah, he was like caressing it. He treated the flag like how he gropes women, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I
God.
guess when you're a celebrity, the flags let you get away with it.
Exactly. Oh God, there it is. Yeah. And the thing is, the sort of embrace of the WWE, the World Wrestling
Right.
entertainment industry. I'm trying not to say World Wrestling Federation. That was in the 90s. Donald Trump was in the WWE. He was good friends with Vince McMahon.
They still
Who
are.
Yeah, he was like literally there's videos of him, rushing Vince McMahon on the ring, punching him in the head. The announcers are yelling, "There comes Trump!" And and now we have a guy in the White House. When he first came in, he brought in like Kid Rock and some other stupid singer. I don't remember
Meatloaf.
who he was. Yeah, like Meatloaf, and there was another guy. I think his name was like Gunn or something, like Ted Nugent. That's it. Yeah. And now it's like we're literally living in a reality TV dystopia. And the funniest thing was when it came to the great garbage avalanche that happened. The thing that caused the avalanche was one little can of beer. And the thing
Right.
is, beer is not garbage, that's recyclable. Yet that's the thing that causes the avalanche where they're throwing recyclables on top of garbage. But yes, it's a horrifying sort of like this movie used to be funny. Now it's more horrifying than anything. Before we want, oh, they don't know any better. But now, I mean, we have people who deny science outwardly. And we have a country that I don't want to say is full of idiots. Because the thing is, I was looking up the statistics for America. And the thing is, we're actually not as dumb as we seem. The problem is that we have an electoral college where the dumb people have a much bigger voice than they should, because all the smart people who make the majority of this country, they go off into big cities, and not just to Chicago or LA or New York, but they could go to
Yeah, there's a rural
or
bias.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And there are people in rural areas who are intelligent, but unfortunately, it's the Republican-led states that, like we have Florida, which is a garbage fire of a state. I mean, it's no secret to shit on Florida. And for people who are in Florida who are listening to this show, who actually believe in what we're saying, I know you guys aren't part of them. There are smart people who live in dumb states. But unfortunately, the dumb states have such an overwhelmingly loud voice that they drown out the intelligence of this country. If we had a popular vote, the Republican Party would never be in office. They would have not been in office for decades. But unfortunately, the Electoral College was created when these states were the majority, but now are no longer that. But they kept that system because it's easy to manipulate. Um, and unfortunately, those people are the ones that give America a horrible name and keep it in this backwards sort of state. What do you think of the standard American?
Uh, distracted, that democracy is tough. Democracy demands that people pay attention to politics.
Hmm.
And Uh, you don't want to do that. You got a life of your own, and it's kind of annoying to have to pay attention to politics. You wouldn't, most people don't choose to pay attention, but it's only when it gets to this state that then it gets people's attention, and then thankfully or hopefully they come through and make some good choices, which I think they are this coming election. It looks like it's over as far as the Trump administration. But it's not that they're stupid; it's that they're distracted, and it's hard to get people. You have, it's a responsibility to live in a democracy, to stay informed, and it's a like a lot of responsibilities. You're not always happily doing them. That there's other things you'd like to do. Other things that get your attention, but I think when it gets so bad like it is now, a larger portion of the population is starting to pay attention, and that's when things change.
Well, I wish I could share that optimism because Donald Trump has proven time and time again that he is defying history. I don't think would have had an impeached president who would be in charge of a pandemic. I don't think a president who said the egregious things that Donald Trump has said would have even been close to winning the presidency. And he wasn't, if you look at the polls from 2016, he didn't have a chance in a million years of winning. Every state leaned towards Hillary, yet he won. And again, the definition of stupid, I don't think it's just from your God-given birth IQ. I think the definition of stupidity is the complacency in willful ignorance. Like they say, ignorance is bliss. And people don't want to think about their lives, right? They don't go to the movies to think about their problems. They go to them to escape. I love Star Wars, but I don't only watch Star Wars, right? But a lot of common Americans do only watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
And because reality's too abusive and it weighs down on them. And in a lot of these rural states, because I've been to a lot of these places, they are drowned in misinformation. They are drowned by the Fox News cycle, where Fox News still dominates the ratings. I mean, as of June 2nd, 2020, they still own the ratings, but CNN Prime did jump to 117%. I didn't even know you could get past 100%. So shows how smart I am. But the thing is, we love our corporate overlords, and as much as I'd like to say down with the corporations, don't shop there, I know I'm still gonna, if I'm hungry and there's a McDonald's open in the middle of the night and nobody else is open, I'm gonna go to that McDonald's. I'm still gonna buy that product that's made in China, because it's accessible. And the thing is, we are, in terms of being quote unquote woke in this country, I think a lot of people are. And the big, enormous difference in this election that we're going to have to do is that in 2016, despite the obvious cheating that Trump did when it comes to hacking voting machines and when it comes to controlling social media via producing fake stories, is that people can't be discouraged to vote. We can't have people like, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, but I know that, hey, time to let that go. We gotta elect a competent, reasonable adult, and Joe Biden is that. So I know to go vote for him.
Good.
You have a lot of people who are saying, "Well, no, Bernie Sanders didn't win, and it's him or nobody." Bernie or bust, right? But when you had that sort of ideology, then you let the idiots go out and vote. Much like how the idiots in the beginning of Idiocracy, they went out and had kid after kid after kid, although they couldn't financially support them, and it wasn't realistically a good idea to populate the earth with more of their seed. They decided to do that anyways. And the people at the beginning of the movie, they they didn't. They were smart and decided not to have children, and it's a that's sort of an issue where, I mean, I have a niece and nephew, and I love them to death, but I also think it's kind of a narcissistic thing to have children in this day and age, because um, you're introducing children to a world where it seems like global warming is irreversible and there's no hope or future left for them. But people sometimes want to have children because they want to post pictures on Facebook about how great their life is that they have kids, and they also want to fill sort of this empty void in their life where they think societally you need to have children, in order to be happy. Um, and that's a complicated issue because honestly, I want to have children myself, but I'm afraid of the world I'll bring them into. And I'm not saying that people who have children are narcissistic, although I sort of stated that, but I just think that it's a complicated matter, and we are overpopulating this earth as they are in this movie. So this movie does bring up a lot of deep philosophical questions that transcended beyond its initial concept. And I guess that's why it's a movie that people look at today.
Well, obviously, he had no idea that Trump would be president. This is,
Yeah.
12 years before that actually happened. But
Mhm.
it's just really remarkable how prescient some of his themes in that movie were and how they mirror what actually transpired. That
Mhm.
we've got, what was his name? We got President Cambucho
Yeah.
and
Camacho.
kombucha, and that we've got a population of people that instead of pouring Gatorade on plants and making them die, we're dumping tons and tons of carbon into the atmosphere. It's just as stupid as pouring Gatorade on plants and being
Absolutely.
surprised that they die. We know it's wrong.
Yeah.
We know it's wrong, and we can't seem to stop. It's which is stupid, or idiotic, which is, I
Mhm.
guess, his point 12, 16 years ago.
Yeah. Well, as the old saying goes, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And that's exactly what happened in real life. The best, I think, two of my favorite points of that movie was that uh, President Camacho. It's a hard name to remember. It's so idiotic, it's hard to remember. President Camacho, he promised the people that within 1 week, uh, Luke Wilson's character, Joe Bowers, is going to fix everything. He's going to fix the economy. He's
Right.
going to heal the
Right.
crops. He's going to be like Jesus and heal everyone.
That
And
everybody will be so tired of winning that they'll say, "Hey, stop winning so much."
yeah. And
No,
of
no,
course,
I'm riffing Trump. It sounds
what
just
what
like
was it?
Trump. Remember when he said that?
No, what did he say exactly? I'm
He
sorry, I
said,
don't quite.
he goes, "We're going to be winning so much when I'm president that you're actually going to say to me, 'Sir, stop winning so much. We can't take it. It's too much winning.'" It's unbelievable. It's just like Idiocracy. Like in 1 week, this guy's going to fix everything. It's stupid. But
Yeah,
people in the movie, people ate it up. We thought we were watching a parody. Fast forward
yeah.
15 years, people are eating it up. Although now I think less people are eating it up than before.
Well, we'll find out in November. You know, that's what I keep saying. And I mean, we should really have an election be 2 weeks long or a month long, in my opinion. But that's systematic change that would need radical overhaul.
Well,
And that magical thinking, I think, goes on both sides, whether there's the Bernie or bust people or it's the Trump people. And people think that everything could be fixed within a day. And of course, when everything wasn't fixed in a day, they go from loving Luke Wilson to wanting to murder him. Uh, and he had that
well, let's
speech.
hope that gets to be. Let's hope that happens in reality.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that with Obama, you know, he wanted to inspire hope and change, but because not everyone was rich and not everything wasn't instantaneously better, and it was 8 years, and why hasn't it fixed? People don't understand. Things take decades to fix. They take a long, long time. But because it didn't happen right away with Obama, you know, although we didn't have a pandemic, we were even actually because of Obama Ebola didn't hit this country. He prevented that with his global $100 million CDC office that Trump shut down. Uh, and we didn't have any wars. Times were pretty calm and pretty nice. But because everything wasn't magically fixed, everyone turned against him and they went from Barack Hussein Obama to white supremacist Donald Trump because he told everyone what they wanted
Well,
to hear.
yeah, not exactly. We had a bad candidate too.
Well, yeah, Hillary was boring. And
Not that. I mean, if she was competent, she's a smart woman, she would have made a great president.
I think so
But
too.
her negatives were so high because she had been the victim of Fox News for like 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was she was an industry. Her name, her brand was an industry to Fox News. They spent every minute of every hour, you know, trying to come up with nonsense about her, and it, you know, even though it's not fair, that's what the situation was, and really the Democrats had no business nominating her.
No, they didn't. And the thing was, I think she would have been a wonderful president. But there's a wonderful line. I absolutely love this line in Oliver Stone's Nixon, where this is the first ever televised debate between Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy. And of course, as you might remember, Nixon appeared sweating at the brow in the front. You know, he didn't look so good, and that affected the debate. It didn't matter how well he did, it was how he looked. And they say in Nixon, you know, when they're behind the screen monitor or whatever, you know, in the booth, they say, well, what does it matter? It's not a beauty contest. Well, now it has turned into a beauty contest. And the more attractive candidate, not only physically, but in terms of charisma, is usually the one that wins. Al Gore didn't have as much charisma as George W. Bush. He lost. John Kerry didn't have as much charisma as Bush either, so he lost. Hillary Clinton came off as stiff and robotic, so she lost against Trump. Joe Biden, I'm afraid he's going to lose because he has a stuttering problem. He's had it since childhood. And Trump is great at just blurting out whatever bullshit comes out of his mouth. And as long as he appears as confident, it doesn't matter how factually inaccurate he is, he gets the soundbite in. And like everyone in Idiocracy, they don't care about facts or figures or intelligence or nuanced conversations. They just want the simple blurb, the soundbite. And that's what Trump gave people. And that's what he's going to give them in this next election. And it brings an enormous amount of doubt for Joe Biden's campaign that I'm fearing. I mean, Bernie Sanders would have won because I know plenty of Republicans, my grandparents included, who said that they would have voted for Bernie Sanders because he had those sound bites, but he also had a policy behind it. But yes, we live in a very ADHD sort of nation when it comes to that sort of stuff. So Idiocracy is a movie that transpires beyond it, beyond what it says.
There you go.
Yeah.
Are we going to move on to Team
Yes.
America?
You saw Team America for the first time ever yesterday, and this kind of goes on the other end of stupidity, where sort of both sides are attacked, the left and the right. And I wanted to get your take on what did you think of Team America, which is as lowbrow as it gets in terms of humor, and also as absurd as it gets at the same time.
It's a, definitely it's a parody, and why they chose puppets. I remember a TV show from the 60s that had puppets that did a sort of Team America thing.
Uh-huh.
But, and maybe that's what it was riffing on. But in this case, it was like Team America would go to to interrupt the terrorist attack and end up creating more carnage than the terrorists could ever have dreamed of.
Yeah.
They blew up the pyramids. They blew up the Louvre. They blew up the Eiffel Tower. And they seem blithely unaware of what they've done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, they are oxymoronic to their own statement. They're trying to stop the terrorists, but yet they're the terrorists themselves. They're destroying everything in sight. I don't know if you've ever seen or watched South Park, but
Yeah.
this is okay. Yeah, these are the same guys. Yeah, you could tell by the voices. Like they voice all the characters themselves, outside of a few select members of the cast. And this movie was basically a gigantic parody on sort of blind patriotism. If you've ever watched a Michael Bay movie or a Jerry Bruckheimer production, something like Con Air or Transformers, it's sort of a reflection on those. This has always been one of my favorite comedies. The reason they chose puppets was because they thought it would be cheaper and more affordable to do it with those, and easier to make the film as well. And it turned out to be the exact opposite. And they said they'd never make a sequel to Team America again because of how frustrating that process was. Yeah, but I always liked it because nobody could really kind of go after both sides of the aisle like like Trey Parker and Matt Stone does. They even wrote a book called South Park Conservatives, which kind of argued the point that Trey Parker and Matt Stone were Republicans. They even went on stage recently and said we are Republican, which I think and there was at some liberal benefit, but I think they were just doing it to piss everyone off there, because if you know anything about Trey Parker or Matt Stone, is they like to wave a gigantic middle finger in front of everyone, and they don't care who they piss off. And this movie just does a wonderful job at kind of attacking sort of the Hollywood elites, sort of everyone who's in the industry of bringing out their own voice in terms of speaking up regarding politics. What did you think? What were your thoughts of how they made fun of like Alec Baldwin and Michael Moore and Helen Hunt and Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins and Sean Penn and all those guys?
Yeah, that was funny. I was glad they did it. Those actors, rich celebrity actors, are always a good target for mockery.
Yeah.
However, I was kind of weirded out by the acronym Film Actors Guild.
Another movie that used, now I've talked about like 4 movies in a row that have been using the word fag. I don't know what's going on here. It was the Bill and Ted 1 and 2. Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey, and now it's with Idiocracy and Team America.
Yeah, I'm not particularly PC. I mean,
Yeah.
but I remember feeling a little uncomfortable with it. Like
Yeah.
that's a little over the top, but okay,
That movie came out in 2004, so that might explain why. Man, that acronym really lasted for a
Well,
long
if
time.
that's the case, then that it has seeped into people my age that I watched something like that movie from 15 years ago, and I'm just a little shocked that they're saying that. Whereas 15 years ago, I may not have been shocked at all. I may have just accepted it like, hey, that's funny.
Well, the thing is that to the defense of that joke, uh, the South Park creators actually dissected sort of that word in an episode of their show where they had these guys who were Harley Davidson motorcycle guys, and they try to come off as these as like these dumb tough guys, like you see in Idiocracy, and everyone on the streets would be like calling them faggots and stuff like that. Although they're like, I'm not a fag, I'm a guy in a motorcycle, I'm tough. Yeah. And they're just talking about how the way the word sounds is funny because you're emasculating someone who's trying to come off as if they are tough. And I guess in terms of that, I found that funny. But I guess to your point, it does sound a little out of date. With Team America, they probably could have came up with something instead of calling the Screen Actors Guild with the Film Actors Guild, calling them fags. But again, I don't think they were targeting the gay community, although it certainly doesn't seem right to use sort of because it's almost like using the N word today, I guess you could say. But yeah, it doesn't age so well.
They did have a great,
Yeah.
the best sex scene between puppets I've ever seen.
Oh my God. Actually, that scene goes even further because of how crass this movie is. If you watch this movie, I think it's called "This Movie Is Not Yet Rated." It's about the American Censorship Board and how it's run.
Yeah.
And the
do we have one anymore?
yeah, they're very prominent. But well, yeah, I guess now with the extinction of movie theaters, we might not. But they actually filmed different versions of that sex scene, and it gets graphic to the extent like they did it so they would hit an NC-17 rating to distract the ratings board from all the other stuff that was in the movie, and it worked. So like in the other versions, they had like Gary taking a shit on the girl's chest and like the girl pissing on Gary's face. And
Oh,
just
God.
like yeah. It's like all this
the vomit scene stood out too.
Yeah, a mixture of beer and soup is how they made the vomit. That was absolutely fantastic. Like, you gave up on life, didn't you? You fucking bum! And he just vomits for like a minute and a half straight. They keep kicking up the music again and again. They actually the most interesting thing with that movie is the composer Harry Gregson Williams. He's the guy who composes all of Michael Bay, Jerry Bruckheimer films, and they brought him on to score this film. And the cinematographer for this movie was the guy who shot the Matrix sequels, Reloaded and Revolutions.
Oh.
And he said he wanted to shoot something that didn't involve so much green screen. So like all these guys who actually worked on these productions that they're making fun of came onto this production and did these things because they thought, this would be fun to do. This would be fun to make fun of the stuff that they probably get annoyed to death of working on. But
Right.
yeah, what did you think of sort of his message of patriotism in the film?
Well, yeah, a very twisted ideas of patriotism.
Is it? Like, it's kind of mirrors today, yeah.
Well, sort of. You know, this movie is different than Idiocracy. Idiocracy was actually they were trying to create some sort of message or saying, hey, we make these dumb decisions and we don't have to. Whereas with Team America, it's just, let's just come up with ridiculous stuff. It's not nearly as informative about the current political situation. I don't think. Maybe because they were trying to give both sides equal time, you know, with the Alec Baldwin actors along with Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-il. Yeah, his father. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
still, it was funny. It wasn't nearly as political as Idiocracy. Idiocracy was somewhat political.
yeah, it's not as nuanced. I'd say that. It's very much a fuck everybody sort of angle, because on the right you have, you know, the mouth breathing conservatives who love anything that's red, white, and blue and for their country and against everyone else, because that's what they do. It's America. Fuck yeah. And
yeah.
yeah. We're coming to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America. Fuck yeah. It's such a catchy theme. I love it. And
That's true. It's true. You're right. That is more like, they do share a lot with Idiocracy.
yeah. I mean, cause yeah, it's about the dumb American who, like, they're so stupid that the people who are actually defending their country, they don't realize are blowing up other countries and killing other people, you know. And then on the other side of the aisle, they're making fun of the actors who really, maybe some of them don't know enough about what they're talking about, but yet they want to use their notoriety as a platform to get their word across. And
Right.
personally, for me, I'm okay with actors being political because they give a voice to people who otherwise can't speak up for themselves, and they can make an impact. But you have people like Sean Penn, where he just gives a bad name to sort of the these points of his that I agree with, but at the same time, Sean Penn, you know, has physically abused people that he was married to. I think he tied Madonna to a chair at one point and like left her there while he went to some award ceremony, then came back while she was still tied to it. And then he wrote some envelope to Trey Parker and Matt Stone that ended in saying sincerely, fuck you, Sean Penn. And I remember when he won his Oscar above Mickey Rourke. Remember when Mickey Rourke had that huge comeback for The Wrestler?
Yeah.
And he lost against Sean Penn, who played Harvey Milk. And I thought Sean Penn's portrayal of Harvey Milk was one of the dumbest, most insulting portrayals of a gay man I saw placed on screen. Because if you watch the documentary, The Life and Times of Harvey Milk did not sound the way that Sean Penn portrayed him in that movie. Harvey Milk just sounded like a standard individual. Like, hello, I'm Harvey Milk. Maybe there was a slight effeminate cadence to him, but not much. But yet, Sean Penn's like, I'm Harvey Milk. I'm gay. I like to blow guys. You know, and it's just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, is this how you think gay people sound? Or like, what the fuck is that? And I get that some gay people sound like that. I have a cousin, you know, sounds a lot like that who's gay. But to just portray him like that was one of the laziest, dumbest things. And immediately when they said Sean Penn over Mickey Rourke, I said, fuck this. And I walked out the room because I knew he was going to say something political that I'd agree with. But I don't like the way how he says this in this condescending, fuck you, I'm smarter than you sort of way. And I guess that's where the movie took issues with celebrities who sort of act very smug about their beliefs.
I think his best role was Fast Time at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, and he's been trying to escape that role like his entire career. He's like, I
He
want
nailed
to,
it.
because he was that. He is that. You know. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, dude, but I liked you better as Spicoli than all the droopy, sad, depressed roles that you played. Like, I don't know. He's a good actor, but like every role he just kind of plays like the same. I'm on the verge of punching someone in the face or breaking down into tears. Uh, but
Yeah.
Sean Penn. I mean, I know right now he's actually I think he resides in Chicago right now, and he actually has been helping us out a lot in terms of COVID-19 closures and providing people with masks. So maybe I should shut up and thank him.
Yes.
I'm
It
sorry,
might be
Sean Penn.
prudent.
Yeah, he might be prudent. He might beat up women. He might smoke cigarettes on the set of a talk show, um, and demands he's going to anyways, and doesn't care if he does. But at the end of the day, he does do some good things for people, I guess. I just remembered another thing he did that annoyed me, but I'm not gonna. But yes, yeah, Team America. I mean, I guess you could say it's a shallow film, but I do like how it does cast
Well,
a
that's the
spotlight on both
nature of it. I
sides.
mean, it's
Yeah,
just a parody. Yeah, that's why you watch it.
yeah.
That thing with the guy insisting that the main puppet go down on him, it was pretty weird too.
Oh God, there's so many jokes where it's like I made these jokes as a little kid. Like I
Yeah.
remember I had a toy of Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Qui-Gon Jinn says to Obi-Wan, "If you love me, then why don't you have sex with me?" And then I'd have them like blowing each other and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, again, I was a kid. Okay, these are
All right.
different times. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm not judging.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm judging myself.
It's
Uh,
2020.
yeah, exactly. I think everything is changed to a certain lens. Okay. But I guess one thing is, was there anything about Team America that might have annoyed you?
There is, and because I remember when I was watching it, I was thinking, what was it? It just some things were getting predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't watch that cartoon. What's Parker House? What's it called? Parker, Colorado. What's it?
South Park.
South Park. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to get an outside perspective on all this stuff because people who like South Park love South Park. Like, I love South Park. I love Trey Parker, Matt Stone. So I wanted to hear from someone who isn't quite familiar with it.
So when you want to milk a sacred cow, you
Yes,
and you're going to do it for 90 minutes. After a while, it becomes too predictable.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
you're waiting for the put down or the joke or whatever. It's telegraphed in some ways. It wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so now they're gonna say a dick joke or they're gonna talk about, like potty humor or something like that,
Right.
because they can. Yeah, kind of like the famous speech. The world is filled with 3 types of people.
Oh, that
Dicks,
was good.
pussies, and assholes.
All right, that
Yeah.
was good. That was really well done.
That was actually great because it's kind of like, in a way, it's absurd, but it's also kind of true, which is the weirdest thing. Because you watch it and you're like, yeah, Donald Trump is a dick, and as a dick, he takes all the assholes who are his supporters and he fucks them. And then there are people on the left who are pussies, who are too scared to sort of like really fight against him, to really speak out harshly enough against
There
him.
you
Like,
go,
yes, they
man.
impeached him and stuff like that.
You just nailed it.
Yeah. But the problem is when Donald Trump is fucking those assholes and the pussies don't do enough and they're very close to him, so they're only an inch and a half away from him.
Right.
It becomes a huge mess and he might win again and then we'll just get shit all over us. So
There you go.
there we go.
You summed up the entire situation.
Yeah, exactly. So you see, they were onto something. But yeah,
So isn't it ironic though that the two movies we chose came out within a year of each other?
I noticed that as I was looking up Team America's date as we were speaking, and I went, "Oh my god!" Like no wonder, like people in the 2000s were constantly dropping the F word. Like this is nuts. It's yeah.
Well, patriotism got really big then too,
because of 9/11.
9/11, yeah.
Yeah, with George Bush standing on the hangar bay with mission accomplished, and he had the flight suit on. Yeah,
He was sorry he did that.
Did he say he regretted it?
Oh yeah.
You see, here's the thing with George Bush relating to Idiocracy is George Bush was a guy who I think was manipulated by someone like Dick Cheney, who was just kind of he's not as dumb as Donald Trump, but he wasn't really like an evil bad guy. He was just he was just kind of this bimbo who went along with what his administration was saying when they said we're going to go after the terrorists because they attacked us and Iraq must have nukes. He didn't know that they were making that shit up. I don't think he knew that Dick Cheney was telling him. Again, that's all theoretical. Right. But Donald Trump is not only dumber than George W. Bush, but he's as evil, if not worse, than Dick Cheney. And what works in his favor is that as long as you appear confident, you can kind of get away with anything in a way, And I wish I had Donald Trump's confidence. I'll say that, because I could, like, if I was dumb about a fact or I got something wrong, I could say, no, I was right. You're wrong. Fuck you. And then it's like, there, I took away your ammo. I just said, I'll just ignore you. I'll walk away from the interview if someone says something I disagree with. And that's his strategy. And boy, when he debates Joe Biden, when Joe's stumbling over one of his statements, what was I saying again? I don't know. Huh? I'm like, Donald Trump's he's gonna take advantage of that. He's gonna fucking cream him, I'm afraid. And it's gonna be horrible.
I don't see it, but
okay. God, I hope you're right. Because we always say, I remember we were speaking a while back, and when it came to Trump's impeachment, you're saying that's it for him. He's done. Well, he's okay.
He is done. Have you taken a look at his poll numbers? He is done.
Well, we could look at the poll numbers back in 2016, and we were singing the same.
Not the same.
I hope you're right, my friend. I sincerely do. I want more than anything to be wrong. Okay. And that's another thing where dumb people go against Bill Gates, where they say, well, you know what? He's happy. He's saying, I'm right. Like, no, Bill Gates does not want to run a fucking victory lap knowing that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are going to die. Okay? He's actually trying to help you. But because he talks funny, you don't like him. Okay? I'm sorry. It's the same way people are reacting to a video game called The Last of Us 2 because they're playing as a muscular woman and that scares them. Oops, let that opinion out.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess we kind of exhausted what we thought about those movies. Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming on. Where can we find you? Via Twitter, via website, all that stuff.
Right now, nowhere.
Really?
I'm taking a little break from it. Yeah.
Ravenswoodmedia.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you can go to ravenswoodmedia.com, although my site got hacked. So if you go up on Google and put in Ravenswood Media, it shows the search results shows my company name, but underneath it is a bunch of ads for Viagra.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
gotta
had
figure that out.
I had something happen similar to my site recently, and I resolved the issue. Thank
How'd
God.
you do it?
I changed the security on it more or less. So
Was it what I'm describing?
no, I didn't have
Oh.
Viagra ads. What I had was a lot of basically you pulled up the site and it said that it was private and you couldn't access it and stuff like that.
Oh.
So yeah, like you couldn't even open the damn thing. And I contacted Squarespace and I got it resolved. But yes,
Is
you can still
Squarespace like GoDaddy?
no.
Oh.
GoDaddy, you buy domain names. But anyways, I think we're getting a little off topic here.
Yeah,
But
we are.
in order to promote you, though, I am gonna drop something you don't like. You don't like being dropped, but David is an Oscar nominee, and you could, if you Google
I
Mark
like that.
of the Maker. Yeah, okay, so there you go. Google Mark of the Maker. As a matter of fact, I'll include a link to the film on YouTube, so please send me that. And you can check out his Oscar-nominated short from 1993, the year that Silence of the Lambs won Best Picture. So, yeah, go check that out. David, thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to
Thanks,
talk
Mike.
about some movies that are maybe not as contemporary, because I guess these still count as contemporary. I'm at that age now where my movies are considered old films, which is very strange. Yeah, Batman 1989 is considered old now. So yeah, well, I was like 3 when it came out too. So no, thanks for coming on, man. Please check my stuff out on my functioning website. I make damn sure it's functioning. And I make sure that it works every day at ypareviews.com. The YPA stands for You'll Probably Agree. And even if you don't agree, please constructively tell me why instead of sending insulting memes. All right. Thank you so much, David.
Take care, Mike.
And America, fuck yeah. Have a happy 4th of July. Launch your fireworks and please show your true patriotism by voting the orange asshole out. Oh, I'm not supposed to talk politics on my show. Fuck it. I don't care.